Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. Today is Saturday, March 5th, 2022. I am Joe Sarvati, affectionately known as Coach, and I am joined here at Coach Talk by the one and only Mr. Josh Crash Davis. How are you today, Josh?
Doing well this morning. The Bucks came through for me last night. They had a solid win in Chicago. That was a fun game to watch, and they pulled it out at the end. So,
yeah, there was some great games. I enjoyed that Cleveland game too. That was down to the wire, and some really good games. We were up at the very, very top of leaderboards for a bunch of the night. Didn't finish as well, but there were a lot of moving parts yesterday with Joker getting, ruled out and all of the other different criteria that took place after that. But the bottom line is this: what we talked about on the podcast, our process of preparing. I mean, we uncovered some 1 or less than 1% owned guys that were very contrarian that went 10, 12x,
right.
The DeAndre Hunters of the world, Darius Garlands, etc. So I feel like we're right on the cusp of one of those monster takedown all over the place boards, and maybe tonight's the night.
I hope so. I
do too.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. It's a 5-game main slate, starts at 7 p.m. Eastern. And by the way, this podcast is presented by our presenting sponsor, and that is PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com. If you're signing up with your first deposit, use the promo code CoachTalk, and you will get up to 100%, all the way up to $100 of a match from the good folks at PrizePicks, just by using that promo code CoachTalk. And we've been having a blast with PrizePicks. We'll have picks when we put out our lineups for Draftkings Fanduel and Yahoo. We also are now including PrizePicks, and that's been going really well. We had I had a good night, but man, that Cat not playing the fourth quarter stung a little bit. CJ not playing the fourth quarter stung a little bit, but that's part of the game. If you figure it out correctly, it doesn't mean it always pans out exactly as the way you figured it. So we'll keep building and going from there. And this is, of course, our Saturday, Josh, the fun day that we get to build our two brains are better than one FanDuel GPP at the end of the podcast. So stay tuned for that. Certainly something that we've had right in the money recently that has been right in the thick of it. We have had to make changes. So if we do, again, today with all of the stuff that goes on in the NBA, just follow us on Twitter at DFS Coach Talk, and we'll be posting those changes there. All right, my man, here we go. First game right out of the chute, and it is an interesting one right out of the chute. It's a 7 p.m. game. Charlotte Hornets are hosting the San Antonio Spurs. Charlotte is favored only by 3.5. You've got a big monstrosity of a total here that dwarfs everything else on the slate. 240.5, 118.5 implied for San Antonio, 122 for Charlotte. It's a big one. In this game, we've got 2 questionable tags for San Antonio, Devin Vassell and Mr. Walker the fourth. And then for Charlotte, we've got a doubtful on Jalen McDaniels. We know the Bouknight and Hayward are out. Here's the amazing thing, Crash. When I had to look at this 3 times to make sure it wasn't a mistake. Do you know who the top 2 pace teams are in the entire league?
I wouldn't think it would be these 2 teams, but I'm guessing it might be.
Charlotte, number 1. San Antonio has rocketed to 2. So Pop's letting it all hang out here, and maybe his last season, I think, behind the bench. But so we've got a 240.5 total. We've got this crazy number 1 and 2 pace. We have not good defense here. Spurs 19th, Charlotte 22nd. So if this doesn't line up for Stack City, I mean, I know that's going to be chalky. People going to come out of this game with like 5 guys, but I don't know, man. We're going to have to go through this and determine how many is too many. So what do you think?
Yeah, there's definitely a couple of plays here on each side that I'm going to probably have, starting with DeJounte Murray. The Hornets have allowed the 7th fewest fantasy points to point guards, but Murray's been pretty matchup proof this year. He has multiple 50-plus DraftKings points games against top 5 teams against point guards. At 9,600 on FanDuel, I really like that price. I don't know if I'm going to get to 10.8 on DraftKings. That's pretty steep. But 9,600 is solid, so I like that on FanDuel. I think PJ Washington for Charlotte is a good play. He's 6,000 on FanDuel, 5,100 on DraftKings. He had 38.75 DraftKings points the last time they played, and he's averaging about 23.6 DraftKings points per game, which on DraftKings he's only 5,100, so he's pretty close to 5x average. So pretty safe play there, I think. Which of these shooting guard, small forward, hybrid type players is going to be key for me for San Antonio.
Right.
Lonnie Walker, Devin Vassell, even Josh Primo, guys like that. They're all kind of in play for me, just depending on who's going to play, because Charlotte's just not very good defensively. So as we talked about, and then Terry Rozier's, he's really been on a tear lately. He's scored 54, 37, 48, and 47 DraftKings points in his last 4 games. And the Spurs have allowed the 5th most fantasy points to point guard. So he's 8,100 on DraftKings, so he's a little bit pricey. He is below 8K at 7,600 on FanDuel, so I like that price. And those would probably be the top plays for me in this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, it's, there's so many possibilities here. It's crazy. I mean, DeJounte Murray, I had him last time out, paid up for him, and he was spectacular. I don't know what he ended up with, mid-60s, I believe, something.
And so,
he's just so fantastic to watch. And he really is the reason that they're the second, in pace in the league now. He's pushing the ball. He gets tons of steals and, push outs for finishes or assists. So, Murray, I really love him, exactly like you on DraftKings. It's a little tougher at 10.8. FanDuel, I think, the fact that he's sub K, he's in such a smash spot here. It's not even funny. But, for me, I'm with you. I need the news, and we'll have it because it's before, first game of the slate. With Vassell and Walker, because that changes everything. If one of them's in, one of them's out, or both in, both out, that makes a whole different rotation here, because, then you can all start talking about who are the second guys up. Trey Jones, Josh Primo. Is it going to be Richardson or Langford, one of the new guys? We need to look at that and digest who's the second best player is going to be from the Spurs. I'm, after Murray, I'm not as interested in Pirtle at 7-7 in this particular matchup. Although Charlotte does not do well against centers, it is an island game for both teams. So, Pirtle is not out of play, but it's just a little pricier. There's a few other spots I'd like to go.
Yeah, we had him at like 6K earlier in the year. He's like 8K now. I don't really like that 8K price tag.
Yeah, it's pricey. So it's Murray, and then let's see what the news is for a second Spurs guy. I probably will have a value second guy once we hear that news. Charlotte, I think is in a great spot here too. I mean, the bottom line is Terry Rozier's cheaper than LaMelo Ball, and in the last week and a half, he's outplayed him most of the time. Rozier's been on a roll. Now, I really like him here because I think Murray's going to defend Ball. And again, Murray's terrific. He does force turnovers, but he plays fast, and that is right in Ball's hands. But I still think in this instance, and this is probably the first time for me leaning this way, Crash, is I think I like Rozier better than Ball, just because he's on such a roll right now. But his price is also up, That's the tough part. My favorite Hornet, though, is Miles Bridges. I'm a big Miles Bridges guy, but I just love this matchup for him. Who's going to guard him, and how effective is it going to be? I think you're going to see more minutes from Keita Bates-Diop than normal, because he's one of the only guys with enough size and ranginess to guard Bridges. Not that he'll do a great job on him, but he's just too tall and too powerful for Vassell, McDermott, or Johnson. So I love Miles Bridges' spot. I think it's going to affect really how San Antonio defends here. So I love him. PJ Washington, as you said, underpriced at 5-1. I think they can do some real damage on the interior there. So Rozier, Bridges, Washington are ranked 1, 2, 3 for me. And I'm not, saying Montrezl Harrell's a bad play at 5-5, but I don't want to go to the split with him and Plumlee, even though he's starting to get more minutes. Yeah. So again, I could be one of those people. I mean, last night, if you saw the lineup I provided, I had out of my 8 guys, I had 5 of them single digits, including 3 of them sub 3%. Those guys all went off. It was the big guys that couldn't finish the game because they were in blowouts. So those people that tweet me and say, Coach, don't predict blowouts, that's to you. Because those 2 blowouts killed me. But in this instance, I think this game should stay close enough because neither team is playing good D, but they're both playing fast. So, I mean, I'm not afraid of being chalky-ish here and come out of this game with 4 or 5 guys and just accept the fact that this game is going to have way more production, opportunity, DFS possessions than any other game on the slate.
Yeah, and nobody could have predicted that second blowout. I mean, the Pelicans blowing out Utah. I'll tell you, people better stand up and take notice about the Pelicans. They're no joke. Yeah, they're tough.
They're going to sneak into that play-in tournament, and I would not want to play them. They have this new, with McCollum and Ingram teaming up, there seems to be a ton of chemistry there. Yeah, dangerous team.
Yeah.
And that's without Zion.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, even without Zion. Yeah.
And if they do get him back, that could make it really a tough out. All right. We spent a lot of time on game 1, but it's, it should be probably half your build right there, in my opinion. So
me too.
Excellent. All right. We've got a set of, it's really weird tonight again, Josh, all early games basically. So we have that 7 o'clock, then we have 3 8 o'clocks and an 8:30. That's it.
Yeah.
So you have time to wine and dine the misses there a little bit, Josh.
Yeah, we did that a little bit last night, so we'll see.
No details, please. TMI. All right, the first 8 o'clock game, Philadelphia at Miami. This is the game I want to watch, Josh. This is going to be a fun game. Miami's at home, favored by 2, 220.5 total, 109.25 for Philly, 111.25 for the Miami Heat. Coming into this game, Philly's 39-23, Miami 42-22. DeAndre Jordan, now a Philadelphia 76er, he is actually probable. So do we see third string center DeAndre Jordan? Do not play him, but maybe we see him for a 5-minute stretch or something. Yeah. And then for Miami, monstrosity of news here. And we need this dag-blasted news. Spoelstra, I love him, but he doesn't give news out very early. And this could be a big stomachache because we have 4 questionable rotation players for Miami. Butler, Martin, Strus, and Tucker. So when you're talking about 4 of the main 8 guys that are going to play in this game that we don't know if they're going to play or not, that is a headache. But we do know that Lowry, Morris, and Oladipo are out as usual. So I don't know where we start here. I mean, the bottom line is, it is the second night of a back-to-back for Philly. So let's see. Do we get any Embiid news? I don't know. Maybe. But, it's a huge game. I don't see how they sit him here. I mean, these two teams are battling for first. I think Philly's pulled within 1.5 of Miami, who's in first. So I don't see anybody sitting here. I think it'd be a mistake. I can't imagine. So if they do get full run with everybody, I mean, you do have to consider that, though, that it is the second night of a back-to-back for Philly. Philly's the second slowest team in the league at 29th, Miami 25th. So this is going to be playoff fever, crowd rowdy, good defense, similar to that Chicago-Milwaukee game. And we predicted it, and that's exactly what it was like. You get that like little steam in the room, that whole feel of playoffs. I think you're going to see that again tonight. And then you got 2 top 10 defensive teams here, Crash. Philly's 9th and Miami's 5th. So playoff type feel, second night of a back-to-back for Philly, very slow pace, great defense. As much as I'm going to watch this game, I'm very close to maybe not playing much. What about you?
Yeah. There are 2 plays in this game that I like, a guard from each team. Tyrese Maxey has been playing very well ever since they added James Harden. Had 52 DraftKings points last night, 36, 39, and 42 in the games before that. He's 6,700 on DraftKings, so that's too cheap for me.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to play him on DraftKings. But on FanDuel at 78, I mean, that's what he was last night, but this matchup is a lot tougher. So I'm probably just going to play him on DraftKings. And then Tyler Hero, I mean, he's been very consistent. So 6,900 on FanDuel, 7,000 on DraftKings. Those 2 plays are about it for me in this game. There's not much else I like. With Embiid, they're just going to crowd the paint like they always do. And I think it's going to give him some trouble if he plays. So that's about it for me in this one.
Yeah, it's such a different dynamic with Philly because Harden in an instant has totally changed that team. I mean, not just with his offensive prowess. I mean, I get that. But if you watch the Philly games now, it's like you're watching a different team from the team you watched last week. And I me, I watch away from the ball and how everything's flowing and how the teams are playing.
Right.
For the last couple of years, it's been basically, get the ball up on Embiid's side, clear it out, lob the ball into him. He's going to go one-on-one, try to post up, power move, or shoot that mid-range and sometimes even 3. And then Tobias Harris would stand out at the 3-point line and try to crack. Right. And that was basically their offense. Now with Harden, he takes so much attention away and spreads the floor so much that people are having to come over and double him. And the guy that's been the recipient of that is exactly what you said, Tyrese Maxey, who now he's doing so well. They're calling it the big 3 in Philly. And believe it or not, Tobias Harris isn't part of that. But,
I know.
I don't blame you for Maxey. I do think he's, the guy that everybody's talking about. Maxey. So that's always scares me when somebody gets overexposed like that, because that generally is a letdown. But it's not a fluke. I mean, he's had his last 11 3-pointers. This is a statistic that's kept. If you want to really go into advanced stats, go to basketballreference.com. You can drill down to who's on the floor, the type of shots. It's phenomenal. So big shout out to them. But out of his last 11 threes, 7 of them have been considered, there's different grades, wide open. That means not one player from the other team is within 6 feet of you when you take that shot. So if you have Harden, who you're trying to stop up top, or he'll just drive it down your throat, and Embiid out there wheeling and dealing, how the heck are you going to guard a guy like Maxey? So, I mean, I love the fact of how he's changed that group. Maxey at 6'7" is just so damn cheap. You're right. I mean, the fact that he's sub 7K at this point, the way he's played, it's not like he was playing bad before Harden came to town. He was playing great. So I'm with you at 6'7", take the free square. The thing is, I get nervous when I start feeling chalky, because that first game, I'm going to have a lot of exposure. I'll have Maxey. He's going to be chalk. So sometimes you deal the cards that you're dealt and you just roll from there. But I'm with you. I like Maxey. I don't know if I'm going to spend up for either Harden or Embiid, but it has to do with who plays for Miami. So let's break this into 2 sections, Crash. Okay. Number 1, let's say all those guys are out. If that's the case, I think they're in big trouble. Philly could come in and just smack them, because that would bring them within a half a game of first.
Right.
But if guys like, Butler and Caleb Martin and Strus and all these guys play, then you're just looking at a different scenario here. It stays closer. It makes the bigger guys better. But Miami's defense, then is literally that, top 5 defense with Butler and Bam and all those guys in there. So it's a two-edged sword that makes it difficult. So the bottom line for me, as I say all that to say, is I probably will not buy up for Harden at 11-7 or Embiid at 11-9 because it is against Miami, in Miami. Now, the only way I'd change my stance on that is if Butler and some of these other guys are ruled out for Miami. So we need the news on this game. But for me, I'm with you. I think Maxi's the best play. And then depending on who's in and out, I wouldn't mind having one representative from the Heat side, whether it be a pay up to Bam at 8-9, which still saves you $3,000 over Embiid at 11-9. You know, Bam's been awesome lately. And, you know, so after that, you know, maybe Butler, but Butler has not shot the ball well from the outside lately. So he's questionable there. You know, you could go Gabe Vincent again. People have been going back to him. But for me, right now, if I had to make my lineup this second, it'd be Tyler Hero at a clean 7K. Because if you come out with Maxey at 6-7 and Hero at 7K, you have 2 guys on the lower level of mid pricing. That makes you feel good because those 2 guys could be right up there, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So I know that's a lot of win there, but I think it's an important game to break down. All right, game 3, man, the second 8 o'clock game, Portland Trailblazers, Minnesota Timberwolves. Minnesota favored by the big 13.5. So I gave raspberries earlier for not, you know, letting me predict blowouts. So this game and the next game sound like college spreads. But here's where we need some of your thinking so I don't get hollered by Twitter sphere. But it is Minnesota by 13.5, a 233.5 total. 110 implied for Portland, 123.5. Big fat number for Minnesota there as the implied total. Portland comes in 25-37, Minnesota 35-29. Big list for Portland, as we know their entire season has been that way. Brandon Williams is probable, but these guys are out. Bledsoe, Hart, Lillard, Luzada, Nurkic, and Winslow. So all that could be their roster to be competitive right there. For Minnesota, it's just the Ant factor here. Is he in? Is he out? Makes a massive difference in Minnesota's points here. So again, news that we could use. That's for sure. I'm going to use that from now on. News that we could use. Yeah. So Ant questionable, and it's a truly questionable. And then we've got McKinley Wright is not playing. So this is an interesting one. The spread is big. Do you know, are you fearful? Do I have another, you know, play Towns and then he doesn't play the fourth quarter? I can't, my nerves can't take that anymore. I had to go to the alcoholic beverage last night.
Oh no. Don't blame
So what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good matchup for Towns, obviously, with Nurkic out of there. I mean, I guess he's going up against like Trenton Watford and Drew Eubanks.
Those superstars?
No. So I'm looking at the value here. I like Malik Beasley at 3,200 on DraftKings. He scored 28 and 38 in the last 2 games. This is also assuming that Anthony Edwards is going to be out.
Right.
Same thing with Jared Vanderbilt. He's 4,400 on DraftKings. He had 44 DraftKings points last time they played Portland. So another favorable matchup for him like we saw last night. So those will be the 2 plays for me on the Minnesota side, and I don't really want to play anyone on Portland. So this is a pretty fadeable game for me outside of the value if Anthony Edwards is out again.
Yeah, I mean, Portland is beyond G League here. I mean, they are down there. I mean, is it Elijah Hughes, CJ Ellaby, Drew Eubanks, Trendon Watford, Keon Johnson, Greg Brown? Oh my Lord.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if this team would have a really good record in the G League.
No, I know. I was watching that game with Phoenix, and man, Keon Johnson was terrible. I played him that night, so he was awful.
He's not good. Yeah, I mean, it seems like a blowout to me. I don't know. But again, you know, it's going to scare me off of paying up for like a Russell or Cat, even if Ant's out. If Ant's in, then forget it. I'm not even going to think about it.
This is.
But if Ant is out, I'd go more the second flight guy. Vanderbilt is only 4-4, and he is good. I mean, he deserves more minutes. I think he's better than McDaniels, Beasley, McLaughlin, Noel, all these guys. They play more than him. You know, Jaden McDaniels also. But I like Vanderbilt at 4-4. There is, you know, I need to know if Jaden McDaniels is in along with Ant, because I think if McDaniels is in, that takes Beasley out for me, because I think he comes off the bench and isn't quite as effective. But he's only 3-2. If McDaniels also is out with Ant and Beasley's going to start or, you know, be that sixth man, then at that price, you know, like you said, he's a streaky player and he has been hot lately. But, you know, I doubt I'm going to go, you know, if we see the starting lineup and I can get super comfortable and need a big pay down, maybe take one flyer on a Portland guy that's super cheap, that's going to get 30 minutes and, you know, and pray about it, because that's about what you're going to need.
Right.
But on Minnesota, I'm not going up after the sting from last night. Not that last night should matter about tonight, but, you know, hey, it's the second night of a back-to-back for Minnesota. You know, they're not going to push Cat in a situation like that. They usually treat him pretty, you know, confidently. And even Russell, they're, you know, he's a kind of coach that doesn't beat his players into the ground. So this is going to be, you know, more of a, even though the total's decent, I'm just not feeling this game. And I don't like the fact that I think it could easily blow out.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, man, the last 8 o'clock game, right before we get to these last two games real quickly here, I want to thank again our presenting sponsor, PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com. If it's your first deposit, put in the promo code CoachTalk. You get a free play all the way up to $100. They just match your money. It's not even a free play. It's just they match it. They pop it right in your account. You can play it. PrizePicks is awesome. I give a shout out to Crash every week when I say this on this Saturday podcast, because he was the one yelling PrizePicks months ago, telling me, Coach, let's do PrizePicks. And I was not as fast to the jump, but you were right, man. It is the hottest thing in the industry. They have something like 700,000 players or some craziness across the world. Yeah, they are blowing up. So enjoy that. They're fantastic. Also, a quick shout out to our sportsbook partners. That's betus.com.pa. If you're looking for somewhere to bet the upcoming March Madness and everything, there's no better place than BetUS. They have great bonuses. Plus, we have a deal right now with them. If you sign up and deposit $149 or more, you automatically get 2 full free months, all access to DFS Coach Talk. That alone is $150 value. So it's like getting a free roll at BetUS. So go to betus.com.pa, use that promo code Coach Talk, all one word, no space. That's the only way you get the free 2 months here at Coach Talk. All right, that is it. If you're watching right now on YouTube, quick thumbs up. We're not getting the percentage of thumbs ups that I would like. And the reason I'm crying about it is because that is important to us. We do this podcast in front of the paywall 7 days a week. And that thumbs up and subscribing, that's what moves us up the algorithm on YouTube so that we can get out there to more people. So please do that. While you're at it, hit that little alarm in the upper corner. That will alert you every time to when one of our podcast posts. All right, here we go. Orlando, Memphis Grizzlies. You thought that last spread was big, Crash? How about a fat 16.5? This is like a 215 game in the March Madness tournament. You've got a 230.5 total, which is not bad, very respectable. 107 for the Orlando Magic, 123.5 for Memphis. So this is smelling like a Grizz night for sure. And then in this game, you've got Orlando coming in at 16-48, Memphis at a very impressive 43-21. Couple of things here that are somewhat important. Of course, Jalen Suggs, who I've been on lately, he was one of my smash guys last night at low own, but he got hurt a little bit. He's questionable. So do not play Jalen Suggs today, in my opinion, because I don't think he gets full run, even if he is in this lineup. And it is the second night of a back-to-back for Orlando. So that is something to definitely be wary of, and that's part of the reason why the spread is so big. The only rotational guy from Memphis that is questionable is Kyle Anderson. He's been playing great ball for them off the bench. So, we need news on those guys. We already know that the big thing for Orlando is Wendell Carter Jr. is out again. So that has a big effect on that interior rotation. Isaac and Mo Wagner have been out for quite some time. Same with Brooks and Pons for the Memphis Grizzlies. So coming into this game, we've got Orlando 12th in pace and Memphis 4th. So that is really nice from a pace standpoint. Orlando's defense is terrible. They're 24th. Memphis, though, does have a top 10 defense in 8th. So there's been a lot of movement with these players in this team, Orlando-wise, as far as who's getting minutes, who's back. Fultz is back. He sat out the last game because of rest, so he's in the mix. RJ Hampton's been getting minutes. The guy getting squeezed out a little bit is the veteran Terrence Ross, but he does still get minutes. Don't know why they haven't traded him over the last 3 years. One of the more mysteries in the NBA that I can't figure out. Gary Harris gets minutes. So they're getting pretty crowded in the backcourt here, because you still have Carmelo Anthony, or Cole Anthony, no relation, by the way. But Suggs being questionable opens up some of that time for these guys. Franz Wagner's decided to get his second win lately. He's playing better. That, everybody raced to Chuma Okeke yesterday when Carter got, knocked out of there, and he's viable. And then, of course, Mo Bamba, the guy Bamba, who drives me absolutely crazy. You watch him, you want to just, go nuts, because sometimes he looks like he's just lost, like he's looking to go get popcorn and a soda. The other times he looks like an all-pro center. So, figure that one out, but he should get minutes, because Carter, usually Bamba comes off the floor about 5-6 minutes into the game, and then they move Carter over to center. Carter's not in, so there's no true backup center there, especially with Mo Wagner being out. So you're going to get extra run from Bamba. All he has to do is pull that 7'2" body up and down the doggone floor and get it done. So what do you think about this game, man? Is it a jaw night all the way around, or are you afraid of the blowout?
A little bit of both for me. He's 10-5 on FanDuel, 10-4 on DraftKings, so pretty similar price on both sites. But, Brogdon had his huge game against them, against Orlando. Malachi Flynn had 41.75 last night, so it's a little bit tempting for me. Morant had 52.3 on February 5th and a 135-115 win in Orlando. So even though they won by 20, he still got over 50 DraftKings points. So going to be hard for me to fade Morant tonight, I think. Probably my favorite point guard of the ones that are on this slate. Him and Murray, maybe Steph Curry. Those are the three that I'm looking at and trying to decide between those three. Outside of that, Kyle Anderson's been playing pretty well since the All-Star break. He's got 30-plus in his last 3 games. He's questionable. 4,300. Yeah, he is questionable. 4,300 on DraftKings. So if he plays, that's a decent price for me. And that's probably going to be about it. There's not a whole lot here for me. Maybe Jaren Jackson. Orlando's allowed the second most fantasy points to power forwards, so it's a decent matchup for him. But yeah, as far as the game goes, I would just lean towards the Memphis side. Maybe not really going to play anyone from Orlando, I don't think, at this point.
Yeah, this is a tough one, man. I mean, I do think it blows out to Orlando's just not playing well. Wendell Carter's just not having him in there. And if Suggs sits, then they're really hurting. And I mean, this game could get out of hand fast. We know, Coach Jenkins likes to rest guys when he can. He is not a run up the score kind of coach at all. So that all scares me. I mean, I think Ja certainly is in one of his best spots, but how much are we going to get out of Ja? That's the big question. I mean, you made a good point there. Point guards have been just killing Orlando lately. So I don't know. I mean, if I go to DeJounte Murray, I'm probably not going to get to Morant. But if not, then Morant's probably my guy. And then, again, I watched Ja play for three quarters, and then I have to hit the sauce again in the fourth quarter because because he's sitting. But we'll see how it goes. That's yet to be determined. Desmond Bain's a decent price. You know, Jackson's price is down. Adams, I sort of like Steven Adams here. He's 6'2". You know, he could snap bomb in about 4 pieces, that long, you know, stick that he is. I just think he's going to dominate, you know, in the glass, maybe a 15 rebound game from Adams. But that's if it stays close enough. You know, he's the very first guy that's coming out in a blowout. So,
right.
So that's, you know, it's tempting, but yet, you know, nerve wracking. My situation, Josh, I don't like the big, giant backcourt all of a sudden with Anthony, Suggs, Ross Hampton, Fultz, and Harris. You got 6 guys. Even if Suggs sits, that's 5 that are all trying to get minutes. And it just, it's not conducive to me to, even for Cole Anthony, who had a great night last night. He's the best of the group by far, but I just don't know. I think he gets some Desmond Bain defense, and I just don't think the game stays close enough long enough. The guys that I like, though, I'm interested in Franz Wagner, Chumo Kiki, and Mo Bamba. The group of 3, certainly not going to stack anybody here, but I definitely want to put one of them in there. And if I get Frosty, I may even go 2 because they're priced so well, 5'9", 5'1", and 5'3", for 3 guys that should all play 30-plus minutes for sure, because they just don't have depth there. You know, you look at their big man depth. Who are they going to go to here? Admiral Schofield, Brazdeikis, or do they dust off Robin Lopez? I haven't heard his name in forever.
True.
He hasn't been doing anything. So I think that's the spot to maybe attack this. And I think those guys stay in a little bit longer anyway, even if Memphis starts pulling away. So I may have some sneaky magic here, believe it or not.
Yeah, I get that.
All right, last one. Game 5, 8:30 is the last game on the slate. I cannot believe it. It is the Golden State Warriors and LA Lakers national TV game. All these networks spent billions and billions just to show this dumpster fire Los Angeles Lakers. Poor Lakers, man. Everybody's pounding that life out of them. But they, you know, it's Golden State by 7 on the road. So that's pretty, you know, pretty fair spread. It's only a 224 total, so not up there with the big boys today. 115.5 implied for Golden State, and the Lakers just 108.5. Coming into the game, Golden State is 43-20, but feeling some heat and, you know, teams right behind them. So they need some wins. Lakers, a big fat 8 games under 500, 27-35. News in this game, you will not, it's going to knock you off your seat. Brace yourself.
Okay.
LeBron James questionable.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know, that's, whatever. So anyway, you got Golden State, same 3 guys out, Green, Iguodala, Payton. So we've seen what Golden State has pretty much every game recently. For the Lakers, the washed up Avery Bradley, sorry, man. He's probable. Taylor Horton Tucker is questionable along with LeBron, but you know, LeBron's played every game. I don't know when they're going to throw up the white flag, but I think they're going to keep trying until they're eliminated. So, but Horton Tucker, that affects things. He's played a really nice role recently. So we need the news there. Davis and Nunn, we know, have already been out. Nunn has not played a single game all season. We have 2 top 10 pace teams, Josh. You can't ignore it. 10th Golden State, 7th Lakers. So even though the spread's only 224, you don't often see one that low with 2 top 10 pace teams. But, you know, the Lakers have been struggling to score the ball. And then they have to face right into the teeth of the #1 defensive efficient team in the league in the Golden State Warriors. So no cup of tea there. Lakers middle of the pack defensively. They're 16th. Their big problem lately is they just aren't shooting the ball, and they don't have any other scorers but LeBron. And it gets to be ridiculous. So I don't even know where to start here. I mean, does this game stay close? Do you spend up? You know, it's a national TV game. It's going to get a little overexposure, a little over ownership than it should. I'm not that crazy about it. What do you think?
Well, I will say one thing about these teams. When they've played each other this year, they've had some high scoring matchups. The first matchup in October, which Anthony Davis didn't play in that game, it was 121-114 Golden State. The last matchup was February 12th. and Anthony Davis did play in that game. That was one of the last games he played in, and it was 117 to 115. So quite a bit of points here in these matchups so far this year. So if it stays like that, I kind of do like this matchup. You know, the guards for the Golden State for me, all three of Curry, Thompson, and Jordan Poole. I like all three of those. If the game gets away from the Lakers, I think Jordan Poole could be a nice play. 4,700 on FanDuel, 4,800 on DraftKings. LeBron's had success against Golden State. He had 61.75 in their first matchup when AD didn't play, and then 57.75 in the last one. So pretty solid numbers there. 59.5 average in 2 games. He is 11-2 on DraftKings. It's a little bit steep. 10-3 on FanDuel is a little bit more doable for me. I like that price a little bit more. And then Austin Reeves at 3,200. He's been starting lately for the Lakers. He's had 24.3 against the Warriors the last time they played. So I do like the value there with Reeves. Not going to go too heavy on this game. Probably pick one of the 3 guards for the Warriors, and then probably LeBron on FanDuel, and then Austin Reeves probably on both sites.
Interesting. I'm going to stack up these Lakers: Stanley Johnson, DJ Augustine, Kent Bazemore, Wayne Ellington, Andrew's favorite player, Wenyen Gabriel, and I think I'll put Trevor Ariza in there too.
And I think I'll tell our members don't play coaches' lineups.
They have so many washed up garbage players. How did, if you're a Lakers fan, and I know we have a lot of them out there, you got to be shaking your head and think, how the hell did we get to this point?
Yeah, 2 years ago.
They have a really ramshot type of group of players here behind LeBron. It's just awful.
Yeah.
I don't know where to start.
Yeah, 2 years ago, they were on top of the NBA world, you know?
Yeah. And I know people are saying, sort of coming to the Lakers' defense. I mean, and they deserve to be. I mean, they did win it 2 years ago, so, give them a break. Russ just happened to get washed up at the wrong time, and, AD gets hurt when he, slips on a wet spot every 5 minutes. He's so it's just hard. But the bottom line is I don't even know who to trust on this team. I guess, the guy usually, if I have to get a value guy for LA, for some reason, I find myself wanting to chase a Malik Monk big game for some reason. And it's very inconsistent, but I don't trust Reeves really. Dwight Howard, we know how that can go at times. Don't mention that one to Andrew. So, Carmelo, he's capable of taking a boatload of shots, but he's 5'1". It's really, do you want to spend up to me and go for LeBron or not is really what it comes down to. You really can't play Russ unless you are, just gambling for in craps for like a hard 10 to come up. You need 1 roll to win. I'm not thrilled. Golden State's a good team defense, even without Draymond. So, it's hard though, because if you spend money on the Golden State side and don't come back with probably LeBron, or, I don't know who else you feel confident in. And then you're going sort of against yourself with the, leverage of not having anybody on that side. If the Golden State gets control of the game, you're not going to get big run from some guys. So, to me, is it Curry, Morant, or DeJounte Murray? Really, for me anyway. And I'm right now leaning to Murray. But Clay at 6'5" has been decent. He's getting more minutes. He's getting more shots up. Wiggins has played better the last few games. I guess low mid 6'3", you can consider him. I just don't trust. I've been burned too many times by the combination of Kuminga, Looney, Poole, Porter, Moody, all those guys. It's a crapshoot. One day somebody's going to get 5 fantasy points, and then they'll have 28 fantasy points. So, if anybody has rhyme or reason to how that's happening, let me know, because I don't see, that rotation has just been all over the place. So, so it's, I know it's not popular, but I may be, it's a national TV game, late night sweat game. I may be sitting with one value guy and nothing else here. So unfortunately, you can have a nice big lead and you'll be fine if you
Yeah.
or you got to get something out of the last guy, but don't force a guy in just to force him in. I forced in Marcus Morris Sr. a couple days ago just to get some exposure the last game, something I preach about not to do, and he was awful. Yeah. So it can also sink the ship if you make a forced move. So don't be afraid to fade it, I guess, is my call here. But, to me, it's either you sell out and say, okay, I'm going whatever, Clay and LeBron or Curry and LeBron, whatever, or you just say, okay, I'm getting the big lead, and then you guys try to catch me. That's all I got, man.
All right.
It's FanDuel GPP. 2 brains are better than 1. And again, stretching it to say that you get a full 2 brains with the 2 of us is definitely a stretch. But we're going to say 1 3/4 brains better than 1.
Yeah.
And you get the first pick this week, Mr. Crash.
Okay.
Pressure's on.
All right. I'm going to take...
You're on the clock.
I'm going to take PJ Washington at center.
PJ Washington at center. I would have made 10,000 guesses before I picked that would be your first pick. But not that I don't like it. It's just didn't see it coming. I'll go with one that you do see coming right before your eyes. DeJounte Murray.
Yeah.
He's just a little too cheap on FanDuel.
Yeah, cheaper than Curry and Morant. So that kind of makes that decision easier.
Makes it very simple. Whereas it's flipped on DraftKings makes it tough.
Yep. All right. I'm going to go ahead and take where did he go? I guess I'm just taking Hornets. I'm going to take Terry Rozier at shooting guard.
Yeah. I like that play. Now I can take all my Lakers bench guys, right?
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. The poor Lakers. There's not a ton of value that's opened up yet. So we're going to have to I'm going to have to try to find us a little bit of a break somewhere. Because we know that stuff's going to open up as the day goes on. But I'm torn here. I'm going to go on the cheap. I'll take small forward Franz Wagner.
Okay.
5,400.
All right. I'll take more value, and I'll take Malik Beasley at shooting guard.
I hate Malik Beasley. That's okay. I support you. I'm rooting for Beasley tonight. Yeah. What if he doesn't start?
Well, if Edwards is out, I'll go to another play you don't like, and I'll go to Austin Reeves.
Oh my gosh. I would not if I was down at the rec center right now playing pickup and I would pick somebody else.
Oh no.
I'm sorry. All right, shooting guard Malik Beasley. I'm going to reluctantly put that in there, which means he could have it keeps putting him in at small forward. It's refusing to let me put him in at shooting guard. So I'm going to take small forward Tyler Hero, 6,900.
Okay.
And that's going to allow me to put stupid Beasley to default to shooting guard. Okay, we have almost $7,000. So we got a pay up guy coming here.
Yeah. Don't see a lot of value at point guard. Let's see.
You know what stinks? Center.
That's why I took Washington, because it's not it's not great.
Oh, I had PJ Washington. It's forcing him into power forward. I wonder if any of the listeners, if that does it to you. Even click on center, then I click on PJ Washington, and it puts him in at power. Let me do it again.
World?
Okay, the second time it did it. So
I'm going to take Tyrese Maxey at point guard.
All right. All righty. 2 power forwards for a combined 13-1. So that eliminates the big boys like LeBron and Bam. Poor Tobias Harris is like his 9th option now. I'm gonna go to Chuma Okeke. I think everybody jumped on him last night. He didn't do as well. They're gonna jump off of him, and I think he bites him right back in the butt because he'll get a little extra run even if Memphis takes a big lead. So that gives you a big fat 74 bananas to spend.
All right. I'm gonna make a switch here.
Okay.
I'm gonna take
Malik Beasley out.
Actually, that's what I was thinking. I'm gonna put Vanderbilt at power forward.
Who?
Okay. Vanderbilt.
I love Vanderbilt.
Okay. And then
sorry for the peer pressure. Beasley's going to have 60 tonight.
Yeah. And then I'm going to upgrade from Maxey to John Morant.
We can go to John Morant?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And then I'm going to
4,100 is all you got.
Yeah, I was hang on one second. What did I do here? I was looking at something.
Sounds like you have another decision to make here.
Yeah, I do. What was it?
I'm looking shooting guards for 4,100. I see, I guess, Duncan Robinson, RJ Hampton. It's Austin Reeves, Malik Beasley. Yeah, it's not pretty. Cody Martin. None of those guys are great.
What was I looking at? Okay.
I mean, if you need extra money there, let's see if I can go down. Yeah, I don't see much below Okeke. Vanderbilt's cheap.
Do you think maybe Memphis blows out Orlando and we should go to Steph Curry instead?
I mean, that's up to you, man. The blowout thing has been biting me lately, so I'm not sure.
If we do that, we can.
Orlando does completely suck though, and that would give us no Memphis exposure.
If we do that, we can give an upgrade from Beasley to Caleb Martin.
So Steph Curry and Caleb Martin
instead of Beasley and Maxey.
I mean, that's fine with me. But the thing is, it's going to be dependent. If those guys are all in for Miami, it's going to be a little tougher. If they're all out, then Caleb Martin's going to be chalk, which is fine. But I'm just saying, it's something we're going to have to keep our eye on.
Yeah, I don't like.
Not Caleb. I mean Cody Martin. No, Caleb or Cody.
Caleb, I think. Yeah, Caleb.
How much is
Miami? He's 4,400. You can play him at shooting guard or small forward.
Okay, so that would give us 500 to spare. Murray, Curry, Rozier, Martin, Wagner, Hero, Okeke, Vanderbilt, PJ Washington. Yeah, that sounds like a GPP lineup to me. That is going to be very contrarian, but that's sometimes what wins GPPs. You can't have, LeBron and everybody just stacked up in these games. So let's go with that. See what news always changes something. And then we'll just see if we have to update it here by the end of the day.
That works for me.
All right. I just locked it in.
Me too.
All right. Appreciate it, man. It was fun. I enjoy these Saturdays. They're always nice and chirpy. We went pretty long for a 5-gamer, but it is what it is. So, and then I'll be lacing them back up here this afternoon. Make sure to tune in. We'll post the link in Discord for our members and on Twitter for our regular listeners. I'll be live with Gundacker on his channel, so we'll be posting that live at 3 p.m. Eastern, and we'll have some of these updates, Josh, and we'll see, if we get any more news between now and then.
Yep.
All right, my friend. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope that this helped everybody out there. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll be back again tomorrow when we look to crush it in NBA DFS.